Welcome to Yuno and Kenzo Koga, where ancient wisdom meets modern life.
Subscribe now and join us on this journey of awakening. If this resonates, tap like and share it with someone who would appreciate a moment of peace today. And feel free to share any thoughts or reflections in the comments. We'd love to hear from you.
Have you ever felt that constant hum of anxiety, or maybe you find yourself really bothered by what other people think or do, or just, deeply frustrated when life doesn't quite go the way you planned?
Oh, definitely. It's such a common thing, isn't it? That feeling of being, well, tossed around by things happening to you, or even just by your own thoughts racing away.
Exactly. And what if there was this ancient path, but one that's actually surprisingly rational for finding some real calm and clarity right in the middle of all this modern chaos?
It's amazing, actually, how wisdom from like millennia ago can speak so directly to what we're dealing with right now.
It really does. So today we're doing a deep dive into some pretty profound wisdom, ideas that have influenced thinkers for centuries, and honestly, they still hit home incredibly deeply.
Yeah, our mission today is basically to pull out some practical insights, things that can help you navigate life's challenges, because let's face it, they're inevitable, and maybe cultivate a more peaceful mind.
Mm-hmm. We're exploring core teachings, ideas often linked to the Buddha, specifically from this collection called The Words of Truth, or Dhammapada.
Right. And it's important to say this isn't about some obscure religious text you need a degree to understand. These are surprisingly simple, uh, clear, and logical ideas about how our minds work.
And how we can find some inner peace.
Exactly.
And here's the key thing, I think. This isn't about converting anyone or adopting a new religion. It's really about understanding universal principles.
Totally. Just ideas that can genuinely help you get a better handle on your mind, maybe dial down the anxiety a bit, and just, well, fundamentally shift your relationship with the world around you.
So yeah, let's unpack some of these concepts. They're pretty powerful.
Let's do it.
Okay, so to really get these teachings, we probably need to start at the beginning, right? With the story of Siddhartha Gautama.
Mm-hmm. The prince.
Yeah, born into this unbelievable luxury in northern India, maybe 5th or 6th century BCE. You might know him as Shakyamuni. His life was set up to be completely free from want, destined to be king.
Right. His father literally tried to shield him from seeing any suffering at all. Just beauty, pleasure, ease. But Siddhartha, even with all that, had this deep spiritual curiosity he couldn't shake.
And that curiosity eventually led him outside the palace walls.
Which changed everything.
Completely. Because what he saw out there just shattered that illusion of everything being perfect and permanent. He saw, first, a really frail old man. Suddenly, aging wasn't just an idea, it was real.
Then he saw someone suffering from a terrible illness. So sickness became real, too.
And then the final blow, really a dead body being carried, confronting death head on. For someone who'd never seen these things, wow. It must have been a total redefinition of life itself.
It was a profound shock, realizing that aging, sickness, death, these weren't just sad things that happened to the people. They were unavoidable parts of being human. Suffering that even a prince couldn't escape.
And you mentioned the thinking at the time?
Yeah, and this is key. For Siddhartha and the culture he lived in, this suffering wasn't just a one-time problem. It was tied to this idea of reincarnation, an endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth into more suffering.
So not just suffering now, but potentially forever.
Exactly. That realization that suffering could be endless is what lit the fire under him. It drove his desperate search for a way out, an escape from the whole cycle.
But amidst all that darkness, he saw something else, didn't he? Through the North Gate.
Right. He saw an ascetic, a wandering holy man who looked completely tranquil, just peaceful. And that offered a glimmer of hope, maybe a different path beyond all the suffering he'd just witnessed.
That contrast must have been stark.
Absolutely. And it was that encounter, really, after seeing all the misery, that pushed him to make his decision.
So at 29, he just walks away from it all. The palace, the title, everything. Shaves his head, leaves his family. Starts this 6-year quest for truth.
He went to extremes, too. Tried intense self-denial, fasting almost to the point of death, rigorous meditation techniques. But none of it brought lasting answers. He learned that extremes, either pleasure or pain, weren't the way.
So, realizing that torturing himself wasn't working, he sits down under this Bodhi tree in Gaya, and he basically says, I'm not moving until I find the truth.
Incredible determination.
Yeah.
And after 7 days, meditating, focusing, He achieved enlightenment. He became Buddha, the awakened one.
It's an amazing journey, isn't it? From this prince totally sheltered from pain to someone who fundamentally understood suffering itself.
Yeah. And what he awoke to is the core of what we're talking about today.
Okay, so after that incredible journey, what was the truth Buddha discovered? It's not some, magical secret, is it? It's more about understanding our own mind.
Exactly. It's a profoundly rational way of looking at our inner world. And it kind of starts with a word that often gets mistranslated, actually.
Which word is that?
In Japanese, it's akiramaru. It often gets translated as give up or resign, but its deeper meaning is more like to make clear the truth.
Ah, okay. So not giving up in a passive way, but like seeing things clearly.
Precisely. It's about objectively understanding reality, even the tough parts, maybe especially the tough parts. And that clear-sighted acceptance, paradoxically, is what helps us move forward without being weighed down by regret or resistance. It's about clarity.
That makes sense. Seeing clearly frees you up. So from that foundation of clarity, he built this framework, right? The Four Noble Truths.
Yes. His core teaching on understanding human existence and suffering.
And the first one is simply, well, the truth of suffering, which I admit can sound a bit bleak on the surface.
It can, but suffering here, dukkha in the original Pali, is maybe broader than we usually think.
Yeah.
It's not just agony. It includes that sort of pervasive, subtle background hum of unsatisfactoriness we feel when things aren't quite right.
So like not just major pain, but everyday annoyances too.
Absolutely. The big stuff? Sure. Aging, sickness, death. He called those the 4 sufferings, but he expanded it to 8 sufferings, including things like, being separated from people you love or having to deal with people you dislike.
We're not getting what you want.
Exactly. Or even just the frustration that your own body or mind doesn't always do what you tell it to. The point is, suffering isn't just random bad luck. It's kind of woven into the fabric of existence,
Yeah.
especially when we resist how things are.
Okay, that broad definition makes it much more relatable. So if life has this inherent suffering or unsatisfactoriness, what's the cause? That's the second truth, right? The origin of suffering.
Yes, and Buddha pinpointed the cause in our cravings, our attachments, our delusions. What he called bano. It's our clinging to things, our obsession with how things should be, instead of accepting how they are.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Like, if we're obsessed with staying young and looking perfect, the natural process of aging becomes this source of deep pain. Why? Because we're desperately clinging to something youth that is, by its very nature, impermanent. We're fighting reality.
Right, grasping at things that are bound to slip away. So, okay, suffering exists. It's caused by our clinging. There must be good news next.
There is. That's the third truth. The truth of the cessation of suffering. Buddha taught that if we can let go of those cravings, those attachments, those bano, then suffering can actually cease.
Wow, that's huge. So it's not hopeless. There is a way out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which leads directly to the fourth truth. The truth of the path to the cessation of suffering. How do we actually do it?
Ow.
Through the Eightfold Path. It's a set of 8 practical guidelines for living. Things like right view, right thought, right speech, right action, and so on. It's a practical roadmap.
And that word right is important here, isn't it? It doesn't mean like self-righteous or morally superior.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Right here means something closer to objective, rational, balanced, impartial, free from your own personal biases and distortions. It's about seeing things clearly as they truly are and acting from that clarity.
Okay, objective and balance. That makes sense.
And the whole Eightfold Path embodies what's called the middle way. Remember how Siddhartha found extreme self-denial useless?
Yeah.
Well, he found that a life chasing excessive pleasure was equally unhelpful. The path to peace isn't about extremes. It lies in finding balance, a healthy middle ground, harmony.
So we've got this framework suffering, its cause and clinging, the possibility of ending it, and the path to do so. But how does this deep stuff translate into, tools we can actually use day to day?
Well, this is where the power of your own mind comes in, and some really fundamental principles Buddha taught. He famously said something like, the mind precedes all things, creates all, governs all.
That sounds huge. Does he mean our thoughts literally create reality?
In a way, yes. He meant our thoughts and intentions are like the architects of our experience. How we perceive things, how we react, whether we feel suffering or peace. It starts in the mind, and this ties directly into cause and effect, Inga. Buddha was incredibly rational. He taught that everything works on this principle. Our actions, driven by our intentions, have direct consequences. It's not about some divine judge rewarding or punishing you.
It's more like physics, action and reaction.
Kind of. If your mind is filled with negativity, anger, greed, then negative outcomes tend to follow, like a cart following an ox, as one saying goes. You're essentially steering your own experience moment by moment with the quality of your mind.
That's empowering, but also a bit daunting. Okay, what about impermanence? You mentioned that earlier.
Yes, Shogyo Mujo. This is absolutely central. All conditioned things are impermanent. Everything that comes together will eventually fall apart. Think about it. Your money, your job, your relationships, your health, even your own body. It's all constantly changing.
And we hate that, don't we? We want things to stay the same, especially the good things.
We really do. We cling desperately. And Buddha said that clinging to the idea that things are permanent or should be permanent is a fundamental source of our suffering. We suffer when reality inevitably changes because we were attached to it staying fixed.
Okay, that's a big one to chew on. Impermanence. Then he takes it even further, you said. Non-self.
Shohomuga. Yeah, this one can be tricky. It basically means nothing is truly mine, or perhaps more deeply, there is no fixed independent self.
Whoa, what does that mean? I feel like me.
Of course. It doesn't mean you don't exist. It means that the self we identify with, our personality, our body, our thoughts, isn't some solid, unchanging thing. It's more like a process, a collection of constantly changing elements, deeply interconnected with everything else. Like an apple needs sun, rain, soil, a tree. It doesn't exist independently.
So I'm not an isolated island.
Exactly. We're all products of countless causes and conditions. Believing in a separate, absolute self that owns things like my job, my kids, my reputation, even my body, leads to frustration and suffering when things inevitably change or don't go my way. Because that sense of absolute ownership and separateness is an illusion.
So clinging to me and mine sets us up for pain when impermanence inevitably shows up.
You got it. It's all interconnected. Understanding impermanence and non-self helps loosen that painful grip.
All right, so we have this deep understanding of how things work, suffering, clinging, impermanence, non-self. How do we actually use this wisdom? How do we start cultivating that calm, clear mind in the middle of our hectic lives?
Well, Buddha offered some remarkably practical advice. It often starts with looking at the difference between how a wise person approaches life versus, well, a foolish one.
Okay, what's the difference?
One key thing is diligence versus idleness. He said something like, diligence leads to vitality, while idleness is like death.
Strong words. What does idleness mean here? Just being lazy?
It's maybe more about an idle mind. A mind that isn't focused or engaged tends to wander, magnify small problems, get stuck on impossible expectations, create endless worries. Whereas a diligent person, someone focused on what truly matters, tends to burn away those trivial concerns like a raging fire, just through purposeful action.
So it's about active focus, not just drifting along, getting worried.
Exactly. And tied to that is humility. Buddha taught that a truly wise person is actually aware of their own foolishness. They know they don't know everything.
So boasting about how wise you are is...
The mark of a fool, according to him. Real wisdom involves knowing your limits, being open to learning. It's not about intellectual arrogance.
That makes sense. So what is real wisdom then, if it's not just knowing a lot of stuff?
He described it more as an internal state, a calm mind free from hatred and fear, a mind that has patience and self-control. It's about your way of being, much more than just what you know.
Okay, patience, self-control, freedom from hatred and fear. That sounds like a good goal. Now, here's something you mentioned that sounds really practical, maybe challenging. Choosing your companions.
Ah, yes. This is crucial. He strongly advised associating with wise individuals, people who embody that calm, patience, and self-control we just talked about. And conversely, distancing yourself from people who stir up your negativity, anger, or confusion.
He even said something pretty blunt, didn't he?
He did. If you do not find a companion who is better or equal to you, it is better to walk alone than with a fool. It really underscores how much our environment, especially the people in it, influences our own state of mind.
That's a tough one, but it makes sense. We absorb things from the people around us, but what about our own minds? They can be the biggest source of trouble.
Absolutely. Buddha totally acknowledged that. He said the mind is restless, agitated, hard to control, always darting about. We've all been there, right? Trying to sleep with thoughts racing, or trying to focus when worries keep popping up.
Oh, yeah. Trying to herd cats, basically.
Exactly. But he offered hope. He used the analogy of an arrow maker straightening a crooked arrow. Just like that, a wise person can discipline their mind, bring it into focus, straighten it out.
And the result of that discipline?
Profound peace. A controlled mind brings tranquility, a state he called nirvana sukha, ultimate peace.
And how do we get there? How do we straighten that arrow?
It comes back to really grasping those core understandings we talked about, the four seals of Dharma, he called them. understanding that life involves suffering, that everything is impermanent, that there's no fixed self, and that nirvana, that tranquility, is the ultimate peace. It's about seeing reality clearly.
So it's not about waiting for someone else to save you.
Not at all. Buddha presented a path to self-salvation based on mastering your own mind through understanding these truths. It's an internal job.
Okay, so let's get really practical. How do we bring these big ideas into our daily grind, our everyday lives? Buddha must have offered some simple strategies.
He absolutely did. And one of the most powerful, I think, is deceptively simple. Look inward, not outward. Meaning, stop spending so much energy finding faults in other people. It's such a common habit, isn't it? We're quick to judge, criticize, point out flaws.
Guilty as charged sometimes.
We all are. Instead, Buddha advised, look only at what you yourself have done and have not done. Turn the focus inward. Ask yourself, were my words okay? Were my actions appropriate? Did I really do my best in that situation?
Wow, that's a huge shift. Taking responsibility for your own side of the street, basically.
Exactly. It's a massive step toward inner stability because you stop being constantly reactive to what everyone else is doing or not doing. You focus on your own sphere of influence, your own actions and intentions.
And that connects to something else you mentioned, purpose over just effort.
Right. He said something like, one meaningful verse is better than 1,000 meaningless ones. In our culture, we often equate being busy with being productive or virtuous. We rush around doing a million things.
The cult of busyness.
Yeah. Buddha's rational approach suggests focusing on purposeful action. Action aligned with your true intention, with those principles of right thought, right view. That kind of focused, meaningful effort is far more effective and, frankly, more satisfying than just spinning your wheels being busy for busyness' sake.
Quality over quantity in actions and thoughts. That leads nicely into what he considered the real win, doesn't it?
It does. Conquering yourself is the greatest victory, he said. Greater than winning 1,000 battles against 1,000,000 enemies.
So true success is internal self-mastery, not external achievements or defeating others.
Precisely. It completely reframes what winning even means.
But we live in a world obsessed with winning and losing, competition, being the best. How do we let go of that? It feels so ingrained.
It is ingrained for many of us. And Buddha saw how that attachment to winning and the corresponding fear of losing or failing leads directly to so much suffering, resentment, jealousy, anger, sadness. His advice was radical. Abandon the attachment to winning and losing altogether. Focus instead on doing your duty, on the purity and intention behind your actions, regardless of the external outcome. Let go of the need to win.
And that brings peace.
It frees you. Your sense of self-worth isn't constantly on the line, fluctuating with every win or loss. You find stability in the integrity of your own actions.
This sounds like it really requires that right view we talked about from the Eightfold Path, seeing things objectively.
Absolutely. Cultivating right view is key. It means developing that objective, rational, impartial way of seeing the world and yourself. Being able to recognize clearly what's actually worth feeling ashamed about, what's genuinely worth fearing, what's truly important.
Instead of just reacting based on ego or habit or what society tells us.
Exactly. It's about seeing things as they are, free from your own bias filters, and responding with wisdom and clarity, not just knee-jerk reactions.
And finally, to help us cultivate all of this, the right view, the letting go, the inward focus, he emphasized the power of our circle again.
Yes, he really drove this home. To make these practices stick, to really cultivate this objective viewpoint, surround yourself with good, wise, kind people. People who embody these qualities.
Because their habits rub off on us.
Absolutely. Our words, our actions, our thoughts, our habits, they are all deeply influenced by the company we keep. A positive, supportive, wise environment naturally helps lead you closer to peace. It makes the path easier.
So choose your friends wisely. It's ancient wisdom for a reason.
And so?
Okay, so we've covered a lot. We explored Buddha's own journey, those foundational truths about suffering and how our clinging causes it, and then some really practical strategies for cultivating a calmer, wiser, more rational mind right here, right now.
Yeah, and it's striking how these aren't just, dusty old philosophies. They feel like genuinely powerful, rational tools for self-mastery, still incredibly relevant for navigating all the complexities of modern life. They really do offer a kind of roadmap for finding internal freedom.
They really do. So thinking about all this, if true peace really does come from within, from how we perceive and engage with this constantly changing world, what's maybe one single attachment or one judgment that you listening might choose to consciously loosen your grip on just for today, just to see what shifts inside?
Thank you for being here with us at Yuno and Kenzo Koga, where ancient wisdom meets modern life.
Subscribe now and join us on this journey of awakening. If this resonates, tap like and share it with someone who would appreciate a moment of peace today. And feel free to share any thoughts or reflections in the comments. We'd love to hear from you.